If you ever found yourself lying unconscious in the middle of the wild, with lions standing over you, would you consider it the end or the beginning of something unimaginable? The sun burned high over the golden plains. Heat rippled across the dry grasslands. Daniel, an experienced ranger, pushed forward through the parched terrain. He had been walking for hours. Reports had reached the station about poachers setting up illegal traps in the inner parts of the reserve. Those traps were deadly, especially for the lions he had sworn to protect. His uniform was drenched in sweat. His canteen was nearly dry. He glanced at the radio clipped to his belt, hoping to hear a voice, but it remained silent. No signal. He was truly alone out there. Despite the fatigue settling deep into his muscles, Daniel kept moving. He spotted footprints, not animal prints, but human. That confirmed it. The poachers had come this far. He adjusted the rifle slung across his back and followed the trail. Every step seemed heavier than the last. His legs ached, and his vision grew hazy. The sun above seemed cruel and unforgiving. After another mile, he finally noticed a wire trap wrapped around a tree. His heart raced. They were not far. He crouched down to inspect it, but the world around him began to sway. The heat had pushed his body to its edge. His knees gave in. He collapsed under a nearby tree, breath shallow, heart pounding. His fingers barely moved. The wilderness surrounded him, and he faded into darkness. A low growl rumbled through the silence. It was not far. Daniel's eyes opened weakly. His head felt like stone, and his throat was dry like sand. Shapes moved in front of him, blurry, golden, massive. A lion stood just a few feet away, its gaze locked onto his. Nearby, a lioness stood close with a cub peeking out from behind her. Daniel's heart pounded, but he could not even lift his hand. He was fully exposed, unable to fight or flee. He expected the worst: teeth, claws, the end. But the lions did not move to attack. The big male lion sniffed the air and let out a soft, steady breath. The lioness sat beside her cub and remained still. They were not acting like predators. They were not behaving like wild hunters. They were watching him, calmly, guarding him. Daniel's thoughts blurred, but then a distant memory rose from deep within. Years ago, he had heard the painful cries of a cub trapped in a wire. It was back when he had just begun working in this very reserve. He had followed the cries and found a terrified cub struggling in a snare. The mother lioness roared nearby, pacing in circles. Daniel had risked everything to set that cub free. Hands raised, rifle untouched, he had approached and cut the wire carefully. The cub had run back to its mother, and the lioness had stared at him, not with anger, but with something close to understanding. Now, years later, as he lay helpless beneath the tree, he wondered, was this the same cub? All grown up? Was this lion the one he had rescued? His strength was gone, but his fear had faded. The lions did not leave his side. As night fell, the air cooled, but danger crept in from other corners of the wild. Hyenas moved at the edges of the clearing. Their eerie laughter filled the dusk. Daniel knew he could not defend himself. His rifle was far beyond his reach, but he did not need it. The large lion stepped forward and growled. The sound was deep, firm, and sent a message. The hyenas backed away into the shadows. They would not come closer. The lions stayed. All through the night they remained near him, silent, watchful, protecting. At sunrise, concern spread through the ranger station. Daniel had not reported in. A search team formed immediately, led by his closest friend, Mark. They followed his trail across the cracked earth. Every moment mattered. When they finally spotted a pride of lions gathered beneath a tree, they froze. Rifles were raised, breaths were held. But the lions did not attack. They only watched. The massive male lion slowly turned its head toward the tree, as if giving them direction. Mark moved forward carefully and found Daniel lying there, still alive. His pulse was weak, but steady. Relief flooded over the team. As they prepared to lift him onto a stretcher, the lions remained quiet. They did not growl. They did not move. They only observed. Just before the rangers began walking back, the big lion stepped aside and let out a soft breath. Not a roar, but something like a farewell. It was a gesture of peace, permission, gratitude, maybe. As the team carried Daniel away, Mark glanced back one last time. The lion stood tall, golden mane catching the light, eyes glowing with something far beyond instinct. It felt like he was watching over something more than territory, a memory, perhaps, a bond. Daniel awoke in the rescue vehicle. His body ached, and his voice came out in a whisper. "The lions, they did not hurt me," he said. Mark nodded and replied quietly, "They protected you." Weeks passed. Daniel recovered. He returned to patrol once more, careful but calm. One evening, he stood on a high ridge and saw the same lion far in the distance, standing on a rock with the wind in its mane. Their eyes met again, not as strangers, not as man and beast, but as old allies who shared a moment few would ever believe. Nature often writes stories more powerful than fiction. Sometimes survival does not come from weapons or strength, but from trust, history, and a single act of compassion remembered across time.